I hope
How are you?
I am fine, and I hope you are too.
Today happens to be a dark day for me. One, I've lost a professional colleague, and then with this insult from Atta Akyea'S, is that how they call him?
Yes.
You know, so it's a dark day for me.
We'll come to Senior Avonambo shortly. But first, you said what Atta Akyea'S said is an insult?
Yes.
How?
Now, first and foremost, Senna, let me indicate that it looks like all of us Ghanaians have flouted or disrespected the 1992 Constitution. The Constitution states that anyone above the age of 40 and of sound mind can be elected into political office, either as a parliamentarian or as a president. Have we bothered to examine the soundness of the minds of the people we are electing into parliament and into the presidency? No, we don't have enough clinical psychologists or psychiatrists in this country. You see, for politicians to talk out of turn just because they are on a political platform is an insult to the Constitution. It's an insult to the Constitution for somebody like Atta Akyea'S to say Ghanaians should vote for an economist, not a journalist. I agree that Akufo-Addo, we are told, read economics for his first degree, so he can be called an economist. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had his PhD in Greek economics or a field like that. So we have a solid economic team at the presidency. Since 2017, January 7, look at the depth this country has sunk economically. And we have economic gurus at the helm of affairs. And you see, because Ghana has had the misfortune of electing economists to run this country down, Atta Akyea'S can look into the eyes of the people of this country and spew that kind of nonsensicality into their ears. Sorry, I wish I could use a better language to describe what he did. I am a journalist, and a proud one at that, and a trained journalist. When I saw the headlines and all those things all over social media, I tried to call my president, that is the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. Apparently, he has been out of the country since Friday. And I know if he were in the country, he would have reacted to this. But at the end of the day, you don't blame people like Atta Akyea'S, because some journalists have sold their conscience to the political elite. So they know their weaknesses, because that is they eat from their tables. So at the end of the day, they have the effrontery to look us in the eyes and tell us that we should give the country to economists. When we gave the country to the economists, the two of them, where have they landed us today? They are economists, yes. We don't disagree. Good ones at that. But where have they landed us? Ghanaians must begin to think. When people make such statements, we need to begin to think. Is it John Mahama they are referring to as a journalist? It's journalists who have, what word should I use? They are the one who have changed the course of African liberation history. Nkrumah was a journalist, wasn't he? Nnamdi Azikiwe of Nigeria was a journalist. Obafemi Awolowo himself was a journalist. I interviewed him. But, there are times God has a way of, exacting his own poetic justice. And I'm grateful to Ghanaians for having elected Akufo-Addo as president. Otherwise, sometime in the future, if he hadn't become president, we would have said he was the best president Ghana never had. But look at what is happening under his watch. Now they can tell us we should not vote journalists. President Reagan of the United States of America, who did very well for that country, he was an actor. He was not an economist. He was not a professor. He was not a lawyer. He was an actor riding on horseback. He was one of the best presidents America ever had. At least the likes of Atta Akyea'S, because they were brought up in elite environments, so they can look us in the eyes and tell us this kind of you see, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. We have given ourselves to them. We have given ourselves to them. Of course, they have a lot of journalists in their fold who do their dirty jobs for them. When Chelsea is playing Liverpool, they are able to fly out of this country on Friday, go and watch the match, and come back on Sunday. And then they boast about these things, and we know. Because when they do, they don't keep quiet. Akufo-Addo is an economist and a lawyer. Bawumia is an economist. And once upon a time, a deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. They know that what makes a country grow is when you have your monies in the banking sector. But they are appointees. Cecilia Dapa kept millions of dollars in her house. And they are the ones in government who are pretending to make this country grow economically, yet they allow, assuming that Cecilia Dapa had all that money genuinely, and she is in government. Instead of keeping the money in the banking sector so that the money can circulate for the growth of this economy, they keep the money under their beds, in their wardrobes, in their homes. And these are the characters Ghanaians will have to vote for tomorrow. You see, they should not get on our nerves. We have not been angry enough. So they can look us in the face, in our eyes, and be telling us trash. When they came up with this, they are a Japadia or whatever that is making the rounds. They knew what they were after. They knew what they were after. The guest you have in your studio, has said something to the effect that, this thing was directed to John Mahama. It wasn't directed to John Mahama. It was directed at him. That sentence, that speech is being directed at John Mahama.
Explain the difference.
No wonder today they are asking for a certain recognition. Yes.
Please explain the difference. You said not directed at, but to.
You see, when you direct something to somebody, you would have mentioned the person. But they didn't mention the person's name. So they were directing it at him.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay.
You see, these politicians should not take us for fools. We have tolerated them for far too long. And they should not rub salt into our wounds by this kind of behavior. You see, we journalists, we should also take the blame. Why should we pander to the whims of politicians? We allow politicians to determine the agenda. They want to tell you what question you should ask them so they can answer. No. You set the agenda, you set the questions, and you hold them to it and let them answer the questions that you want, you are asking on before and on behalf of the people of Ghana. Because not all Ghanaians have what it takes to be able to ask questions. So those of us who are the media practitioners, whether the print media or electronic media or even social media, let us ask the questions and pin the politicians to the questions and let them answer. But we allow them to rather ask their own questions and answer them. At the end of the day, we are befuddled as to where we belong, where our allegiance should go. That is how dire the situation is for this country. We want to enlighten our people. We want to educate our people. And the people who are supposed to enlighten us and educate us are rather muddying the waters. And then we sit back and say, oh, it's a political talk. That is complete nonsense. That is complete balderdash. Most of the time, when they make such a statement, they say, oh, we've been taken by the what? They have a certain...
They've been taken out of context.
Which one is political talk, which one is economic talk, and which one is sanitary talk? Or sanitation, is that the word? You understand that? So you see, we have given these politicians too much leverage to take us for fools. We shouldn't be bothered who is president of this country. We shouldn't be bothered who is prime minister or vice president of this country. We should be bothered by people who we elect, and they are doing the things that will make this country advance economically. Immediately, they make all the promises. I have read the document they presented as... is it manifesto?
Yes, the manifesto.
And I was like, we have been rehashing, we have been saying these things since 1996. The New Patriotic Party, they have been saying these things since 19... You see, it is sad that for the past 7.5 or 8 years that Mahmoud Bawumia, a so-called acclaimed economic wizard, was at the helm, was at the presidency and ran this country down. Today we are being told to give the country to an economist. So the past 7.5 years, was he a fisherman? Or he was an armed robber? Now he has put on the coat of an economist? When he was part of the team. If I were a part of a team and I know my pedigree as an economist, and I know that the person whose mate I am is not doing the job well, I'll say, look, I'll step aside and let the world know the reason why I have stepped aside. Then my pedigree would have been recognized. That is the way we do things. You resign and tell the world why you have resigned. The next time, it is the people who rather clamor for you. That person is a man of integrity. You were part of the degradation of this country, and today, you are espousing all manner of theories again. I will be surprised if John Mahama gives this character the credit of even a debate on any platform.
See. Look,
he should not try it. He should not give them the leverage.
Not to debate.
When John Mahama called for debate, was it 2020? They asked him to go and debate the market women, isn't it?
Yes.
He should also go and debate the market women. Let them ask him questions. What kind of characters are these? When it suits you, then you make noise about it. And they have their media practitioners who highlight all this kind of nonsense.
Doc, we have to round this up. But before you go, for those who do not know Mr. Godwin Avanogbo, you knew him quite well. You said he was your professional colleague.
And a brother.
A brother to you too?
Yes, because, you know, we grew up together in Anyako. When he was in middle school, I was in primary school. Yeah, he was 6 years my senior in age. You know? And he went to training college and trained as a teacher, as I did. And then he was the founder of the GBC2 fan club, that later became GBC fan club. And that's how he forayed into journalism. And he excelled. He was the one who even nominated me to go and deliver the second in the series of the GJA 75th anniversary lectures at home. That was on the 11th of last month. And so we chat every day on national issues. Where this country is being taken to. We even spoke about this on Sunday night. Godwin was not only a senior professional colleague, he was more like a brother. You understand that? So, hearing yesterday that he had bowed out, I didn't believe it until I called and spoke to his daughter, who confirmed that the man was really gone. It hurts. I must confess that it hurts. That people like this, gems like this, no wonder he was called the Grandmaster. He knew his onions. He was professional to the core. You see, in a country that refuses to honor its heroes. That was why during my delivery at the lectures at home, I said, the Ghana Journalists Association must consider, you know, instituting a GJ Hall of Fame so that we can have the likes of Godwin Avanogbo, Kwame Jawuchem, you know, Cameron Dodo, and all those who blazed the trail for us to also pick up journalism. And this is the acid test for us. We've lost a gem. We've lost a gem. He was more political than some of us who make noise. But he was not partisan. He was not partisan at all. And my prayer is that wherever he is, he should find his balance. And the relatives, the friends, colleagues who knew him too well should also be comforted by his passing.
May you so rest in peace, Doc. Thank you.
Amen.
Dr. Akofa Segbefia is senior media consultant, communication specialist. Like I say, he's a trainer. He's practiced journalism himself. We have been hit with the sad news of the passing of Mr. Godwin Avanogbo, the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster. Yeah. If you speak English and you start asking yourself, what am I saying? Okay. Now, before we go, first, let me introduce you to PNP at 21 Enterprise. Now, if you want to upgrade your home with the latest and more luxurious appliances, speak to PNP at 21 Enterprise. Whether you're looking for kitchen gadgets, home entertainment,